Thousands of players are deleting Clash Royale, thousands more are intentionally avoiding buying the Pass Royale. Content creators are boycotting the game, and every social media platform is filled with posts poking fun at Clash Royale for releasing its worst update in history. An update that will serve as a straw that breaks the camel's back. It's been 2 years and at long last everyone's had enough. Clash Royale have brazenly decided to strike at the very heart of the player base, even the most loyal and biggest spenders, by cutting the value of the Pass Royale and Diamond Pass Royale in half whilst increasing the price of evolutions. Furthermore, if you're a free-to-play player, good luck in locking everything because the free version of the Pass Royale has been nerfed into oblivion. Meanwhile, chests, the hallmark of progression in Clash Royale, are no more, with the removal of those chests being so catastrophic to the point where new players are encountering issues with advancing through the tutorial and actually playing in the game for the first time because the removal of chests means that they can't unlock the 8th card required to begin playing in the game. Even worse, the season shop, arguably the best way for free-to-play and even pay-to-play players alike to progress through the game, was removed from it. A singular shop in of itself was holding up progression for millions of players, and without that lifeline, people see no reason to invest their time into the game anymore. You could get 3 evolution shards a month if you played your cards right, and now that opportunity is gone for good. Remaining loyal to the game is worthless, spending your money on the game is worthless, even playing in the game is worthless. 2 years ago, the funeral bells were ringing for the game, and now this lifeless corpse is finally being lowered into the grave that it has brazenly avoided at long last, even if it's costed people hundreds or even thousands of dollars across the years. For a game once so beloved by its community, it can be hard for most who have played the game during its earlier days to believe that it would end up here. Unfortunately, the fate for Clash Royale has been a long time coming. Some would say that this was inevitable. If you're familiar with my content on the Clash Royale, I'm sure you're aware of the rhetoric surrounding several updates, those being Clan Wars 2.0, the update for losers, level 15 evolutions alongside the Lucky Drop update. If you're someone who hasn't played the game for a while and has stumbled upon this video, allow me to briefly explain these updates to you and why they're frowned upon. Clan Wars 2.0 replaced the faster paced and more communal aspect of the original Clan Wars with a boat race where you can race other clans to the finish line for rewards by completing a multitude of tasks. The original Clan Wars was a successor to the clan chest, which was pretty much the Clan Wars 2.0 system but more simplified, only requiring you to earn chests through battles for your clan and nothing else. This update ruined the progression of pacing for most free-to-play players and casual clans, overcomplicating things whilst also being filled with bugs and exploits upon launch. Not only that, it required dedicating a significant amount of time to Clash Royale even if you weren't playing it casually, which can become repetitive after a while, especially if the rewards honestly aren't worth it. The update for losers was a good update on paper, rewarding you even if you had lost a battle. What wasn't so amazing was how they nerfed the Pass Royale and Diamond Pass Royale with it, removing a lot of the magic items and free resources from it whilst making the free version of the Pass Royale significantly worse. This was arguably the start of the Clash Royale becoming exceptionally revenue driven as opposed to ensuring the game is a fun experience for everyone. Level 15, otherwise known as the Elite level, is the update that has created the majority of the noise amongst the game's player base. Level 15 introduced Elite wildcards which could only be unlocked through spending your money, gems or gold, or by getting duplicate cards that you'd already maxed out at level 14. You would usually receive these from chests or recently lucky drops. Clash Royale straight up misled people with this update, saying that they would be free to upgrade to, but at the cost of needing to grind for or pay for a new currency to get those level 14 cards up to level 15. This update is the most talked about because people don't like it. Evolutions came alongside level 15, and although they were an exceptionally good game mechanic in concept, they were introduced with an exceptionally high price tag, were initially overpowered for the first 2 to 4 weeks of being implemented before being nerfed after you had spent your money on those evolution packs and later the Diamond Pass Royale. The evolutions aren't seen favourably because they can be exceptionally unfair to free-to-play players or new players that are climbing through the ladder in the game. Finally, the Lucky Drop update was previously seen as a positive update, at least until it was released and they found out that the chances of you getting anything good were nerfed dramatically. Furthermore, it laid the foundation for what the game would become today, an RNG dictated mess where you have to gamble by investing your time in the hopes of getting something good enough to the point where you progress through the game organically. Now that you're all caught up with the updates and know the context, you can truly appreciate how greedy alongside ignorant a lot of these updates are. Playing Clash Royale since the introduction of level 15 has slowly but surely become a less tolerable experience of every evolution that's been released. Fair matchmaking in the game simply doesn't exist anymore, and the game is known to purposely punish you if you don't spend your money on the game by pairing you up with higher level opponents or a hard counter to your deck. Furthermore, Clash Royale just straight up help scam you with every Pass Royale and Diamond Pass Royale purchase that you make, allowing you to have a month or two of euphoria with a broken evolution only to snatch it away from you and turn it into just another evolution neatly in time for the release of their next evolution. If you thought that's bad, you should see some of the prices of the packs that it have promoted in their item shop as well as the multiplier that it has. There have been countless examples over the years of Clash Royale purposely inflating the value of what the magic items are worth purely because obtaining them as a free-to-play player has become borderline impossible. Clash Royale would be so much better if all the items that were charged for were cosmetic instead of directly affecting the gameplay, but they've decided to go against that and instead create one of the most egregious methods of monetizing the game that I've ever seen from a mobile game. All of this focus on ruining the progression in the game, monetizing it with evolutions and magic items that would definitely influence the way you play the game isn't healthy, because all it does is create a desire to have the next broken evolution that burns out quickly instead of slowly. This decision to focus purely on profit instead of making the gameplay more enjoyable has broken any sense of competitive strategy in the game, with most of the gameplay now revolving around how broken the latest evolution is as opposed to utilizing skill. Clash Royale have had multiple opportunities to rectify the issues with the game, but they've refused to do such a thing, opting for the cheap and easy way of making money from the dwindling amount of players that actually care about the game and those who are newer and are used to mobile games being an absolute cash grab. Clash Royale's decision to remove the season shop from the game, increase prices of the evolutions by twice the amount, nerf the Pass Royale by 50% and remove chests, just goes to show that we're reaching the final stage of what Clash Royale wishes to be, and that's nothing more than a gacha game that has you gambling your money for things that are ultimately worthless, for vanity that isn't earned and bought, and for honor and prestige that isn't worth your time. If you really want an example of this, you can just take a look at the leaderboards of the game. There's this one guy dominating the game at the moment, most likely boosting his way up there and paying his way to remain at the top, and when I look at it, just a crippling amount of sadness washes over me, because you could be doing so much more with your time and actually enjoying your time, and instead you're sitting with 4 accounts at the top of the leaderboards in a glorified tower defense game that's become a gambler's wet dream. There's nothing to work for anymore. There's nothing to be excited for. If a game's ability to be fun just revolves around you spending money instead of earning things, is it really a game, or is it just a glorified gambling simulator with a tower defense game loosely related to the Clash of Clans universe that happens to be affiliated with it? Worst of all though, there are times where Clash Royale instills hope within all of us, only for all of that hope to be snatched away. On multiple occasions, I have observed a very definitive pattern of Clash Royale following the outline of a sine wave in regards to some of the updates they've introduced and released in the past. If we go back in time a bit to when level 14 was introduced to the game, Clash Royale introduced an event called Slash Royale before then, where many of your card upgrades were cut in half so you could hoard your gold and upgrade the cards you really needed to up to level 13. This update just lulled you into a sense of false security, thinking that at long last you were going to be enjoying your cards at the max level and then you'd finally be evenly matched against your opponents, only to be slapped in the face with the implementation of level 14 a few weeks later, especially when level 14 contains some extremely steep gold requirements and many people had chosen to upgrade all of their cards to level 13 instead of hoarding their gold in anticipation for level 14. I'll give you another example, the update for losers in of itself. Although it was already a controversial update because it nerfed the Pass Royale for the first time in a while, it did have the upside of making it easier to progress in a different manner by initially introducing the season shop and season tokens to buy a select amount of things aside of that shop for each month, which fixed the initial problems of events being more competitive, requiring you to spend gems in order to participate in them and often having the 3 loss limit, only for level 15 evolutions to come along, with you being required to earn elite wildcards and buy card duplicates alongside evolution shards that were being sold in the shop that, as for now, no longer exists in the game. Clash Royale has a habit of buttering you up after you thought about the game in a negative manner for a while, only to reveal a more catastrophic update is coming your way. I can keep going with these examples too. The introduction of the lucky drops were initially heavily promoted by Clash Royale's content creators as being extremely beneficial for progression, only for Clash Royale developers to nerf the lucky drop significantly before release, getting people hyped for an update that would have finally countered a steep progression curve that came with level 15, only for that update to barely make a dent in improving the progression system. Time and time again, Clash Royale have promoted positive updates that will aid your progression through the game, and for a short amount of time, they'll provide relief and make you think, oh, Clash Royale isn't as bad as I thought it was, only to form a rug pull in many of its players by following up that positive update with an infinitely worse one that offsets any enjoyment that came from it. There's a case that can be made here that Clash Royale is intentionally psychologically manipulating its players, lulling them into that previously mentioned false sense of security by promising a rope out of the grave that these updates pull the game into, only to rip away that rope once you're climbing through it, landing at the bottom of that grave bruised and battered. If they're genuinely doing this, it has to be the scummiest behaviour that I've ever seen from a mobile game company. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. But when you're doing it for a third or even a fourth time, that goes from being accidental to intentional by way of repetition. I can tell that this is intentional, as this is how Clash Royale makes its money. It has a moment of bliss to pull from the depths of irrelevance and to pluck the nostalgia strings of many people's minds, before then turning around and shoving them into a pack of hungry wolves. This is not a sustainable way to run a game, and eventually Clash Royale will begin falling into a pit of irrelevancy and infamy that it won't recover from. As I said in my last video, I don't see a way Clash Royale comes back from this, and I don't see how they're going to get away with something as foreboding as their death, because that's what these updates have been doing. It's been killing the game right until we're left with what we have today. And what do the developers have to say about this situation? Nothing. One of the massive contributing factors to Clash Royale's death just happens to be the radio silence between the community and the developers. At some point, Clash Royale's developers and even the community managers used to tend to the Clash Royale subreddit or leave comments on YouTube videos and other social media content. Nowadays, we have no way to directly talk to them besides boycotting the game and speaking through statistics in the way of them losing money. The developers no longer reply to people or comment on videos criticizing or providing feedback for the game, and honestly, I think that's because they're just ashamed of what they're doing and they don't wish to confront it firsthand. They know their game is hated by a significant amount of the community, so trying to justify anything that they do is probably worthless in their eyes so long as they keep making money. It doesn't help that TV Royale is run by two random people that I've only started seeing popping up recently, and even so, any jokes or banter between them seems uncomfortably forced and scripted. Not only that, but I still don't have a clear idea of who Clash Royale's community manager is at this point, if there even is one. I know that the person who replaced Rubium left, and if I'm going to be completely honest, I don't blame them. It's often hard to be the voice of a community when the developers behind you just refuse to listen to their complaints, and once again, Clash Royale's developers are digging their heads into the sand and choosing radio silence above actually fixing the game, choosing to neglect it and actually allowing it to decay unlike anything before, to the point where the progression in the game has been fully RNG-ified, and that barely anything in Clash Royale itself holds any form of substance or fun anymore. When you neglect a game like this and succumb to ignorance, choosing your own voices and opinions above the decision of the community, it can sometimes lead to greatness if you're confident in your own ideas. But if literally everyone is telling you that you've made such a terrible update to the point where your own player base is boycotting the game, it's better to do something about it instead of just sitting there. But they just sit there, they always will. It baffles me how delusional Clash Royale's development team is being about this, especially because the explanation and theory surrounding Tencent having their grip over the game doesn't exactly make much sense, when the whole point of making a game profitable is to ensure that it's as enjoyable as possible. Although in all fairness, Tencent does have a reputation of getting their hands on games and slowly turning them into shit, so it wouldn't surprise me if there's some involvement there too. If you're still watching this video, I'm sure that you've seen the absolute avalanche of critical videos revolving around Clash Royale that have come out over the past 2 years. The fact that Clash Royale's developers have done absolutely nothing convinces me they've either lost all of their passion and are working purely for the money, or they're genuinely so out of touch to the point where they think making Clash Royale fully pay to play is going to somehow grow the player base instead of shrink it. People love to poke fun at Squad Busters for being one of Supercell's failures, but at least in spite of the small player base, it can be fun to play once in a while. However, I will happily laugh at Clash Royale, which used to fly close to the sun in regards to how hot and popular the game was back then during its golden age, only for Supercell, Tencent and Clash Royale's developers to ruin the game through ignorance and the drive to make money from simplicity. This radio silence can't be profitable. You can't make money off people who already know you're not listening anymore and therefore abandon the game like they've abandoned any form of effort involving fixing the various issues that plague the game. This is intentional ignorance that has taken place over the span of 2 years, and Clash Royale must be held accountable, even in death. It's extremely saddening to see that Clash Royale has come to such a state, and although the game isn't dead just yet, it wouldn't surprise me if the player base finally abandons the game in the next few months thanks to another controversial update, at least if this one doesn't completely kill the game. If anything, it's surprising to see how resilient Clash Royale's player base can be, but with the views for the game tapering off on YouTube, player counts dropping and popularity waning, it won't be long until Clash Royale is nothing more than a happy memory that got poisoned by a group of predatory developers who sought to profit from that nostalgia. As I said in my last video, I'm now officially done with making Clash Royale content, and this is going to be the send-off video that I was debating making. If you're subscribing for more Clash Royale content, don't. I'm not going to be making any more Clash Royale videos moving forward. Instead, I'm transitioning my content to Clash of Clans because I cannot be asked to pour my effort into producing content for this dumpster fire of a game anymore, especially when I actually enjoy playing Clash of Clans. Continuing to create Clash Royale content will mean the death of my YouTube channel and many other creators alike if they don't move on. However, if you've enjoyed this video and are looking forward to seeing more videos from myself as a creator, such as videos about Clash of Clans and Supercell's library of games more generally, I encourage you to subscribe and join me on this journey. Liking this video would be appreciated too. I usually don't ask for it, but I believe it's important to spread this video around to raise awareness of how truly awful Clash Royale has become. Finally, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the future.